Hey guys, welcome to the Asking Us SEO show, episode number 35. And today I want to talk about data and intuition and why intuition matters. Boom. Today, as I mentioned, I really want to talk about data and intuition. And I'm going to say the same thing, a little bit sort of repetitive, just so no one thinks that I'm trying to rubbish data. I'm a marketer. Of course I love data. Data is so much to the marketing process, to getting results. And if you're a marketer and you don't look at data, then what planet are you on? Because you're not on Earth. You're out there in a distant galaxy XY7Z because you're not in this Milky Way, I can tell you that much. But what I want to talk to you today is there's another element to the process. And I want to give a bit of a case study example, which is obviously important to prove the point that I want to make, but also it's just a reminder of how important intuition is in the scheme of things. I believe intuition is greater than data. Now, that doesn't mean that I believe that data is not important. I just think that a natural intuition to see things and to predict things and to forecast things in the future, I think plays a bigger part in getting success, especially in terms of running a business, to meet goals and objectives. Right now, the Alexa skill that I'm running on but gets hardly any views. I think maybe I had 3 or 4 in the last few months. The data would suggest that it's a complete total waste of time, or my content is not resonating, or it could mean a lot of different things, more or less, it's obviously showing me it's not working. But my intuition is I'm going to stick with it because I believe that voice is going to be just as important as video in the next 10 years. I think voice is going to be a huge component of how we, especially in the search space, search for things, how we, ask questions to people say, if you want to find something, you Google it. They're just going to be like, search it, like just voice it, like voice your problems, So it's going to be very important, I believe. And I do believe video is a great form of content, no doubt. And that's only going to become more and more important. But today, intuition is going to be the centerpiece of which I really want to build this episode on. And I really would love your thoughts as well. And so I think, it's like the old cliche saying, trust your gut. How often do we hear that growing up? But I really do believe that is an essential part of, working out where you're going to put your money and how long you're going to stick with things. Because sometimes the data says right now you suck at XYZ, or you're not getting the results that you should be getting right now. But if you believe in it, like think about how many entrepreneurs that had their products, and I think you need to, having intuition is an ability, I think, absolutely. That's a different topic. But how many entrepreneurs and how many stories have you heard where, people say, like the business wasn't doing so well for many years. It took years to take off. In that time, the data was clearly suggesting you're losing money. You should end this. You should stop this. You should do something different. Sometimes that is the answer at times, but not always. And how many entrepreneurs and business owners and founders and co-founders have stuck with their idea, have stuck with their innovative product and have made it? And that's where I think intuition is, if it's accurate in terms of what you're experiencing and what you feel, I think it goes a lot further than data. And so one of the classic examples that I had was I'm just an average Joe in the UX space. I do believe user experience is hugely built around data. There's no question, and some of these points are all about data. But but ultimately, it also comes down to, working out what's going to be best for the user, and then determine over a certain amount of time, even if the data doesn't give you the right accurate picture, is it still something where with time things will grow and improve? And that's the key. Now, if it doesn't, and the data is consistent, and you believe that you've tried something and it doesn't work for 6 months, for whatever, and you believe it doesn't work, then you need to look at the data. It's a real art and science, and there's not a one shoe fits all. Like it's a real complicated. It's a real case by case. But in this particular example, we added a picture gallery on a page where we believe people were looking for these items, and it made sense that what we were doing, we had a very it was basically like an info page, and we talked about the product, and then we led people on down another journey to the gallery and to the picture gallery. And so what the thought process was, well, hang on, we've been doing it that way for a long time, and for a large degree, we've been working, making people go down this certain avenue, this certain funnel to look at specific things. But in the end, what I decided to do was cut out that process, cut out that next step that we've always done for a long time, and focus on, let's set up the gallery on this page. It gets a lot of landing page visits from organic. Let's try to put it here. What we found, is that by adding the gallery on the page, the bounce rate went up. And I'm thinking, oh no, anyone, look, you don't need to be a rocket scientist. Anyone knows in the UX space, if you make changes and the bounce rate goes up, ba-boom, what have you done? You've achieved the opposite of what you set out to do. But the key point is that I thought, no, let's just sort of see how it goes for another few months, because I believe this is the right thing to do. What happened over, it was about a few months, we obviously have to test it over 3 months, right? At least. And I'm looking at it, I'm going to look at it again at the end of this month. But for November, December, January, when we made those changes, what we found is that even though bounce rate was one of the first things that we noticed that went up negatively, the time on site went up. People spent the time on the page, time on site general, I believe went up, but the time on that page went up. Then, which was great, then the conversion rate went up on that page, because on that page we have a form. So it wasn't like it resulted in more like visits to the Contact Us page and filled it out. Physically on that page, it resulted in more inquiries. Now, at first, if you look at the data, the changes were negative. The bounce rate went up, the exit rate went up, and for all intensive purposes, you would think that was a bad change. Let's either revert back to how we had it, or we try something else. But my intuition said, no, this change makes sense. This change makes sense. So the reason that the conversion rate went up, which was great, and so did the bounce rate, was, and obviously the conversion rate went up over time, but the bounce rate was one of the first things we found, because obviously you're going to measure conversion rate quicker than bounce rate, right? Bounce rate is you can look at it quicker. And there was a few other things I think happened as well. But the point is that I thought, and we decided that it made sense, that this change makes sense. We know what the customer would find valuable. So over time, we found that obviously conversion rate increased. The reason why bounce rate increased is because because it was pretty much the gallery and the contact data, the contact form, how it works, and the gallery all works with Ajax, which means the URLs don't change. Okay, so when people are browsing different things and when they fill out a contact form saying, I like this product, I want to buy it, bang, enter, the URLs don't change, right? So even though conversion rate and average time went up, the bounce rate went up because Google didn't know that what exactly happened on this page. Now, of course, Google can see that it can see the same data, obviously, that they're giving us. But the point is the bounce rate's gone up. So from a search perspective, someone came to the site and then within maybe 30 seconds or a minute or 2 minutes, they left. They didn't browse anywhere else. So Google could think, well, hang on, what happened here? And so it's sort of like we're sending mixed messages. So the way we're going to fix up the bounce rate is probably once the customer fills in the form, we want to actually send them somewhere where it's going to be useful. Not just a standard sort of thank you page, but something more valuable. Something where it's like, thanks for doing this. Try it. Like, would you like to do A, B, C, D? Try to encourage them to stay on the site, to maybe read an article, to maybe, learn about the way we do X, Y, Z, or learn about this product, and just something where we can engage with them and keep them on the site longer and provide more value. That's obviously how we're going to reduce bounce rate. But if I didn't trust that was the right move, we would have changed it. I mean, I'll be honest with you. When I saw the data for the first time, I was shocked. I was like, like, it wasn't my first instinct was trust my intuition. No, it wasn't like that. But in the end, I had to, because I really did believe it was the right thing. And then when I worked out, hang on, the data is suggesting this because of the way in which the page is set up. Now, that may not always be your example. That may not always be something that would apply to you. But the point was that the intuition is what, in the end, outweighed the data, and in the end, proved that the data was just temporarily correcting itself. It may not be telling you the story, because you got to remember there are multiple ways to read data, right? And people talk about data like it's a binary thing. It can be, but depending on what you're measuring and how detailed what you want to measure, how much detail it involves, there's many ways to interpret it. And I think at the end of the day, what makes a great marketer is what they do with that data and how they interpret it. I think that goes a long way. So also the data for a lot of SEOs is that links are so important. Links are everything. And the data says that the links are the big part of Google's algorithm. And I agree with that. I think there's no argument. But I think SEOs, and I think that provide just a backlink service, is not providing the full service in which the customer needs, in my opinion. It's not providing them with the full picture. You're just handing someone a big part of it, but you're not handing everything. And I think I would rather, to be honest with you, as a marketer, I would rather if you're going to provide one standalone package in an SEO, I would rather the content than the links, because what's happened in the past, a lot of SEOs have thought, because links are everything, they've not given content the emphasis that it deserves, and they've just gone off and done at times silly things on behalf of clients, like buying private blog networks, or paying for dodgy links and not providing any value. But if you can actually go out and produce and invest that money into building great content and using great content, if you haven't got any people to help you, invest in great content writers and journalists to help you create great pieces of content. And I've already talked about this in other videos, so I don't want to make that the emphasis. But the point is that the data would say that the links are the most important thing, but just only focusing on the links is a huge mistake, in my opinion. You need to focus on the business, the user experience, the business model. How does a website engage and interact with people, and what content are you producing, and how are you setting yourself as an influencer? What studies are you conducting? How are you improving people's lives? What are you doing that's going to bring a unique perspective on things? And then using great marketing strategies and going out and negotiating for links and getting and using, you know, smart business strategies to go out and to generate links to the articles. But it's not only just, you know, let's just write whatever, you know, these people are searching for this. That's a good way. I've talked about that, but it extends well beyond that. You know, producing content is just the level one. Then, you know, how you talk about the business, you know, what are you going to provide that's different? I would rather a business have a great product and have no visibility than a business with a shonky product that has a lot of visibility in the market, because I can take that great product and we can use it and run with it and then build links to it, because we're producing content around that product that shows how different this product is, how much better it is than what's already in the market, and that innovation and marketing comes together to build businesses. And I think with links, not only focusing on links, not focusing on why this business deserves to be number one, is a big mistake. Because at the end of the day, not every client that we get as SEOs in particular deserves to be number one. It's just the way it is. And so making sure you work with companies and businesses that we believe ought to be ranking highly is something that we need to really have a serious chat about in the SEO community. So where do you get intuition from? It's simple. Understanding your market. That's it. Game over. Once you understand the market, once you understand what people are looking for, once you understand user experience, and that's the data, right? So understanding the market is data, as well as once you understand the market and you can apply the data, then you can apply the intuition. The more you understand about the market you're in and what people want and what solutions that they're looking for, then you'll get better intuition. I mean, when we installed the gallery, I know that what they want is what we're providing on that gallery, right? It's clear. For years and years and years, people want this particular product. And not all the time are they interested in learning about other things on the site. They want this, so why have just focused on the info page? So the intuition was understanding what people want, and that can obviously come from data as well. So it's a very broad, not so black and white, but I believe that ensuring that your business emphasizes intuition and emphasizes what you believe is the right thing to do by your customer, then measuring it against the data will go a long way. And don't just only look at the fixed numbers early and make a rash decision, but think about things and apply things in a way that makes sense for your end user. All right, guys, that would be it. Hopefully this video you found valuable. Please, comment below if you've got a question. Give us a thumbs up if you think we deserve it. And I would love if you would subscribe to this video. Thank you, guys. Have a great day.